Hey, this is Team HOC again, coming at you guys with a quick deck profile. Um, this is definitely going to be a deck that you've probably seen a couple times, especially on this channel. This is something that I've just went back to repeatedly over the last 2 years. Played this deck pretty much off and on. I played it at 2010 Nats. Just played it ever since, just off and on. When I don't like a format or don't like the top tier decks, I just kind of go back to this deck. I mean, as you can see here, it's GBs. There's definitely just an insane amount of variations that, I mean, just in the last 2 days that I've went through. Some of them, better than others. I think this one, at this point, probably I'm not going to say the best GB build, but one of the better ones that I've gotten to test. Haven't really had too much testing, just due to time restraints and work and all that kind of stuff. But nevertheless, we'll just kind of get through here, then I'll go through some other variants that I have in mind, that I probably will build, and probably also profile, or maybe do what I was doing a while back, where it was just kind of a GB deck discussion. I mean, at this point, I'm just thinking labeling all these videos maybe like Project GB or something to that effect. But anyways, just kind of going through this. 3 Liquari, the beat stick of the deck. Again, everybody's probably seen this before. 18 off the start. When it tags in, it comes 21. Definitely good. One of those things that I definitely feel that it's needed in 3. Just because it's going to be one of those tags that, definitely going to be awesome early game when, you don't want to use Darius, you don't want to use any of those guys that usually get you advantage in some way, shape, or form. You just want the beats. So that's what that guy's for. Next, Double Darius, definitely something that's a personal preference for me. I have always played 2 Darius. A lot of people only run 1. I can definitely see why, just because the whole point of the deck is going to be, well, not the whole point, a good portion of it is going to be contacting and sending shit back to your deck. So odds are you might not have a lot of GBs, but I definitely just enjoy the combo plays with this guy. 17, kind of relevant, not too crazy. You could get over Centipede. That's pretty cool. Quest. This dude, I think, always been good. I think he's just one of those cards that the more you play the deck, the more you realize he's just broke. Of course, recycle the chariots, which is the main reason the deck is playable, in my opinion at least, between Gazaris and Chariot. But, just get that hand advantage back, get the chariots down, get monsters back if you need. I mean, it's a great card. Beastie, blow up back row, make Gazaris, do stuff. Retiari, built-in monster removal of the deck. If it comes to the point where at this point in the meta, any deck out there is going to have something to do with the graveyard. I mean, Hornets, Light Pulsars, anything for wind-up where they are going to set up a rat play, anything like that you could see coming. If you have the back row to protect this guy and you could tag him in, just start disrupting the plays. Merm, again, if you guys don't know, when it comes in, blows up a card, face-up monster. So again, just taking the field down. At this point, I usually don't run test tigers in this kind of build. Like this kind of build, I'm thinking is more of a stun build. But the 2 tigers is something that's I'm kind of testing. Definitely don't think 3 is necessary outside of the Prisma build. Just because the third tiger, Tiger just has a huge chance of being dead. especially at this point without priority. This guy's not as good as it once was, but again, it's still Tiger. You could still combo this guy for days. And then next, just kind of the two Randy Thunder Kings, just all around good anti-meta cards. One thing with this deck is, if you don't have the back row, even if you have Laquari, it's hard making a good turn 1 play if you don't have good back row. Like if you have a monster-filled hand, I think it's hard playing a turn 1 play because you're like, well, usually if you have a GB, you want some sort of protection. Just drop Thunder King instead. Thunder King's Thunder King. Next, 3 Proving Ground. Definitely something that I like. I could see it going to this, dropping down in 2 in the deck. Honestly, 3 is probably not necessary. That being said, I just really like the idea since it is such a low monster count. Having a GB filled hand is just horrible, but I'd rather have like 1 or 2 GBs and then like a Proving Ground or 2, just because, you're always going to have access to the bestiary to make the Gazaris play, pretty much. If you have any GB on field, they survive the turn. Next turn, Proving Ground, set the beastie, contact, and blow shit up. It's not to like about blowing shit up. Double MST, just because at this point, I could probably make room for the third one, but I really like just 2s in this deck for things that aren't, Proving Ground and Chariot, I think might be the only 2 cards that I run 3 of, and Laquari. Those are those. Lance is super good, just in case they try and do anything that's going to bust up your combo play. If they try to Torrential, Bottomless, anything like that, you can play Protect the Bestiary, you can play Protect the Gazaris, anything crazy like that. Also, the main point of GBs is going to be to attack and live through the battle. So Damage Step, you could subtract by 8. Stapes, Reborn, Heavy, Dark Hole, and the ever relevant, at least in GB's, Book of Moon, because again, you want shit to go through. So that spells, traps, of course, Chariot, just because it's Chariot, it's like Veiler but better. I don't know. Again, this is one of the reason the deck's even playable. Without Chariot, all the deck has is Randy removal. Like, this gives you the negation factor. The warnings, traps, prisons, you want to protect your monsters. Chains, not 100% on chains at this point. I kind of like it just because, they bring anything out that has the potential of just ruining your day. You always have the chain, and you could wait till next turn to have some other answer. I think, obviously in this kind of deck, there's going to be more effective solutions. Like, I think maybe even putting in more compulses, or these I think are definitely going to come out. But at this point, yeah, definitely testing them out. I think they probably should be cited at very least for the Inzektor match, just because it's really dope in there. But compulses, definitely a card that I'm just liking more and more, just because in this deck it's even better. Obviously you flip it, send the shit back to their hand, they can't go off. But in this deck, I think it's a little bit better because you need that one attack to go through. You need that 1 GB to go off so you can start tagging shit out. So definitely something that I could see going up to 3. Torrential. This is another card that I'm not too sure about, because I would rather run cards that are going to get me out of the situation without getting rid of my GB. So I mean, these are, it's another card that's going to be in there for now. I could definitely see it coming out though, just because it's like, it's one of those things, like, it gets your ass out of the situations. But if you would have a card that, I mean, you don't have I mean, this, you basically have to have a monster in hand, or it's really bad, which is kind of difficult in this deck because of the low monster count. But I mean, again, it is what it is. Solemn, Mirror Force. Mirror Force, definitely a card that doesn't see a whole bunch of play. But again, I want to clear their field so I can start hitting. You know, basically want to be able to summon Retiari or Murmillo or something stupid in face-up attack, so I could put that Chariot in the back row if I need to, and also have something like, you know, Mirror Force, D-Prison, anything like that in the back row to protect it. So that's for main deck. It is a 40-card main deck, I believe, at this point. So, I mean, there's still stuff that could change. You know, definitely maybe putting a Road in there, or like the Huge Revolution is over. I think Road might be just as good at this point. Extra deck, Brandy Dust, Leviair, Leviathan, Acid Golem. This guy, I definitely think that maybe not this build in particular, but there's definitely going to be GB builds. I mean, obviously, this is another reason, like, I really like Darius. It makes you be able to make this card. It's definitely, you know, definitely an awesome card, especially with the theme of the deck. You know, kind of locking shit down. But it's one of those things, like, I was playing in Zectors, and I went into this when I didn't need to. And it just really fucked me up. Like, I was coming out of a Xaris play. I had the GB in the grave. So I went Darius and something else. I got all 3 GBs, and I went into Shockmaster instead of just... I mean, I could have just left him out, and I would have been fine, and it lost me the game. But I mean, it's one of those things, definitely good to have. Some more generic level 4s, Tears because I can, I mean, not going to get it out. Chimera Tech because they're still Randy machine decks. Just the kind of the GV nonsense. I wanted to make it a 15-card deck, so I just added in, I mean, usually you only really need to play 1 Herc and 2 Gazaris. But I mean, there's that. Side deck, super trashy. But I'll go through it anyways. The Electric Viruses, again, there's just a lot of randy-ass dragon decks. Like, not even good dragon decks in my locals. Like, I went to the decent, good-sized locals once. Wasn't with this deck, was with something else. I got, like, 3rd place, and these were the only 3 cards in my side deck at that point, because I forgot my main deck. It was, or my deck that I was working on, so I had to throw something together. But anyways, I mean, just because, again, my locals is awkward, so Cyber Dragons, I mean, Wanghoos, because I really dig this card, especially for Inzectors. I mean, I know it's not, you know, too crazy awesome, but I mean, it's one of those cards. This, for some reason, when I play GBs, I like to side. Another thing that I'm going to get to in a little bit about that. Crows, Veilers for Inzectors, just because, again, I played an Inzectors deck. I have all this, I have just a ton of side, and I misplayed game 1 and just wasn't able to get out of it. Game 2, Soul Taker, more Chaos Dragon hate, and Wabakus. It definitely could be a card that I would main, have previously in previous builds, but I think this another card that should be at least in sideboard to stop the OTK from Chaos Dragons and just the Randy shenanigan that goes on. So I mean, that's the deck for now. Again, this is something that I've definitely played GBs a lot. Not saying this is just a tremendous build or anything like that, but it's something that I threw together just kind of with what I've previously had. Other builds that I've put together just for like a couple test duels. Definitely thinking that it would be really fun throwing King Tiger in the main, maybe 2 Tigers, and then 1 to 2 Horn of the Phantom Beasts, and a Sam Knight. Just because Sam Knight and Horn of the Phantom Beast is pretty nuts. Because, I mean, you get to draw the card and then you get to search your deck for a Chariot or any other GB card that you want. I mean, that sounds cool. I've done it before, but, I mean, again, it's just some fun. Another deck, the Prisma build. Not too psyched about the Prisma build. It sounds really fun because it would be able to get the Shockmaster out super quick. Just because, I mean, if you're going into Gazaris, you could go into Prisma plus Tiger or a GB gets you into Gazaris, which in turn gets you into Heraclinos or Shockmaster. I mean, that's just sounds super good. But I mean, Prisma's cool. Hero Lives, not too keen on that at this point. Just because at this point, I mean, as far as I have for Valor targets, I mean, I have Tiger. I have Tiger and Gazaris. And those are going to be the only 2 super awesome Valor targets. So, I mean, throwing in Prismas in here just kind of makes the deck more susceptible to that kind of nonsense. But, I mean, those are just some examples of other decks that I've been thinking about with GVs, or other builds, I should say. But anyways, that's going to be that. I'm going to throw this up. One thing I do want to say, I know as far as the contest, we hit 15 likes on that for a while. I was without internet and my computer broke, so I'm getting around to this. I do still need to find out some way to get videos from you guys. I'm not sure. I know previously, we did something like this, I think, and we used Mega Upload, but I'm pretty sure that's not around anymore. So if you guys know any sort of media share or any way that I would be able to get videos from you guys that's not ridiculous, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Definitely would be appreciated. So at this point, definitely comment, rate, subscribe. This is Team HOC. Peace out.